Alberta Primetime with Michael Higgins.
Welcome to Alberta Primetime. Ahead tonight, our Friday panel on the tussle over social media transparency. But first, closing the door on political identity.
There is no difference between somebody registering a political name that is very similar to an existing and well-established political party as there would be for a restaurant that has been in operation for decades, having a competitor open next door with a very similar same name.
The Smith government has introduced a new bill that brings a multitude of changes, including a restriction on political party names, a list that includes Conservative, Liberal, Democratic, Wild Rose, and Independents. And it comes at a time when former UCP MLAs Peter Guthrie and Scott Sinclair are attempting to revive the progressive Conservative brand in the MLA. For Airdrie Cochrane joins us now. Peter Guthrie, good to see you, sir. Welcome back.
Hi, good to see you as well.
All right, Bill 14. What do you make of the roadblock now in front of you?
Yeah, I'd heard about this last week coming. There was a leak out of some UCP staffers. I was very surprised that they would do something like this. But then again, when you think of each week that's going on in the legislature, the UCP seem to outdo themselves. But when looking at this and analyzing it, the way I see it is this: the UCP know that they have no legal footing. We've looked at this, we've explored it. We have followed every rule that was put forth by Elections Alberta. We feel that we were on a sound legal ground. And this really ultimately proves that the fact that they're having to cause delays in the court, have a lawsuit against us, an injunction against Elections Alberta. And they did it all just in pursuit of bringing forward this legislation. And ultimately, it's because they're terrified. They're terrified of the fact that with a PC party in the mix, the UCP are relegated to third place in all of the internal polling that we've seen. And I can tell you something, that the UCP does a ton of polling. So they would have these numbers. They know very well that they're in big trouble. And so they're swinging for the fences here to try to eliminate their political competition.
Well, it was back at the end of August. You started the ball rolling on the name change in conjunction with the Alberta Party. Is there still a possibility Elections Alberta could rubber stamp it before the legislation clears?
Yeah, so we've asked we sent out a notice last night to Elections Alberta. We asked them to release his ruling. The commissioner has stated that he has a ruling in hand. We're asking them to let the public see what that ruling was supposed to be. Now, I can tell you that the UCP have backdated this legislation to July 4th, 2025, in order to make sure that they get it back far enough that because they don't know exactly all of our dates in which we had corresponded with Elections Alberta. So they're trying to predate everything. But that said, we're just like, hey, Elections Alberta, release the information, release your judgment. We'll adhere to what you say and let us battle it out in the courts.
Beyond that Elections Alberta element, what other options are maybe available to you to fight this? Or at the end of the day, is it a fait accompli?
If it becomes law, I think that we're going to have to look for an alternative. And internally, we've been joking around that we're going to call ourselves the Progressive Redacted Party. And we'll, after we can oust the UCP and reverse a bunch of the legislation that they've put forward that has overstepped its bounds, we'll put the Conservative back where it belongs, call ourselves PCs after that.
In the interim, where do you expect this development to leave your relationship with the Alberta Party?
How do you mean, Michael?
Well, do you continue it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm continuing that. In fact, I would stay tuned next week for some announcements on that.
All right, we'll watch for that. Now, the bill also amends the Citizen Initiative Act. Where do you feel that leaves the likelihood of a referendum on independence?
Well, there's absolutely no choice for the Premier. She has to have a referendum on independence. A couple of weekends ago with the AGM, the separatist independence group took over the board So, these are the same people that got the premier elected. She's been working with them all along. They gave her high numbers, 91% last year in her review, and they are expecting their pound of flesh, and that is an independence referendum. So they need to make some adjustments because Elections Alberta could get in their way on that. So they had to take that authority away from Elections Alberta to make sure that they could pursue that independence referendum. Now you see with with the UCP, they constantly use the language that they believe believe that Alberta, a strong Alberta within Canada, something along those lines. But really, it's the actions that you need to follow, and it's pieces of legislation like this, as well as how they carried on with the Alberta Next panel, where you see really ultimately what their goal is and their game plan is.
Surprised the government would leave recall legislation alone, or at least for the time being. 4 more names, 4 more MLAs added to the list today, including an NDP member.
Yeah, I think that's a fascinating twist, unless you consider the fact that the UCP might be considering going to an election in the spring. And if that's the case, if any of these recalls are successful, they wouldn't have to worry about a by-election. They'll just go into a general election. So it's a distinct possibility, and I think everything the UCP is doing right now is leading me to believe that they may call an early election. I don't think that the result is going to be good for them, but ultimately, when you look at the path, you look at the budget they're putting forward, the projections for oil, you look at the Auditor General's report forthcoming, I think it's a distinct possibility.
All right, we're almost out of time, but there is still a little bit of time left in this fall sitting. What are you looking for next week?
Well, this should be the final week. I would imagine that we're going to be wrapping up by Thursday, and we're going to be going out with a bang. There's going to be some long nights. There's a number of bills that still have not passed. They've put through some time allocation on some outstanding bills, and I imagine they will with Bill 14 as well, to try to get through this in a timely fashion. But I would expect you're going to see a lot of opposition to what you've been seeing here lately. All
right. Well, we'll have to leave it there for time. Appreciate your time this evening, as always, Mr. Guthrie. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Well, I'll leave you with this. It's a statement that I've been making is strong and free, but only if you agree with the UCP.
There you go. All right. Peter Guthrie, MLA for Airdrie Cochrane.
Take care.